list.
All right, everyone. So let's start today's meeting. So hopefully more students will join us a little bit later. Just as a review of where we stand at this time and what we will be talking about today. So as you know, we started with kind of a big picture overview of higher education, the types of the universities, how to choose the right one, city, rural, tuition, application process, common app, early decision, early action. So you needed all that information so you can start kind of zeroing in on the universities that you would be applying to. I know that I've been going through the list of the universities with my own kid, Maxim, and so we have been refining that list, in fact, changing it drastically over these weeks as more and more information came to our attention. For example, I'm very grateful to professors here for sharing all those intricacies about the common app, early action, early decision, things that I kind of knew the words, but I didn't know the details. And so once I learned the details, it kind of adjusted how I see where we should apply and how many schools we can apply to and how we should strategize in our choices. Then obviously last weekend, 2 weeks ago, we had the session on education outside the United States. And again, I will be honest, our plan was to apply to a bunch of schools outside the US. So both for kind of financial reasons, education in the United States is very expensive, especially at top universities. And so we thought maybe we could also apply to some top universities outside the United States, like maybe Copenhagen Business School or Munich Technical Universities. I mean, these are schools, world-class, top, probably 10, 20, no matter how you measure it. But I figured, if I can get those for free, maybe it's better than going to a local comparable school for an immense amount of money. Not to mention the cultural enrichment, not to mention, some new adventures, some new connections. And obviously, when you will be applying for jobs, it's nice to have that diversity of experiences on your resume. But as you probably know, those of you who attended the meeting or watched the recording, turns out it's not so simple. So for example, many of these universities do not offer courses in English in every major. And when they do offer the choice, sometimes the English version is actually quite expensive. So the local language version may be free, but English version may actually be pretty expensive, especially if you add to that the cost of travel back and forth, for Christmas or whatever holidays you want to visit your parents. So again, we are sort of adjusting our strategy accordingly now and still planning to apply for a few schools outside the United States, but then also the list in the United States is changing. Now, today we are moving more into, so presumably by now, you have a pretty clear idea what schools you will be applying to. You know enough about those schools in terms of, the acceptance rate. Are they a part of the common app or not? Is there an early action or early decision? And if so, you've decided how you're going to handle that. So my hope is that by now you pretty much know what your target, reach, and safety schools are. And now you are ready to sort of proceed and pursue or prepare applications to those schools. Now, at this stage, the very important next step then is, well, let's start to prepare our package. And so we will be talking about the application essay. We will be talking about your transcripts, recommendation letters. But there is one thing that we decided it would be a sort of prudent to cover first, and that is CV, curriculum vitae, or as some people call it, resume. And the reason for that is because at this time, you not only need to know how to prepare that resume, because preparing it properly takes some time. But the important thing is that at this time, you still have time to add items to that resume. So it's still not too late to sort of buff up your resume a little bit and maybe even engage in some activities, maybe join a club or maybe join a team. Like Maxim, for example, he's absent today. So he just joined a sailing team, not only because he wants to learn how to sail and, finds that an interesting experience, but I'll be honest with you, we think maybe, there will be some sort of scholarships available for sailors, for example. And so we will talk today about what you can do with your resume, not only in terms of the form, how it looks, but also what's on it. And so since you still have several months before you have to submit your application, it's not too late to improve the quality of the content, not only the form. And so without any further ado, I'm going to move it to Professor Arora here so that he can tell us a little bit more about how it's done. I'll share some of my own tips and experiences. And then, as always, if you have questions, please do ask them. So I see we have here several students already, so don't be shy. It's your opportunity to ask questions. And maybe even at some point, if you already have your resume and you want to show it and get some feedback, maybe we can even take a quick look at one of them if we have time at the end. All right, Professor Aurora, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Vas. All right, so good morning, everyone. Welcome back to this to our session, Prep4University. And I hope all of you have been making progress. It's an important step that you'll be taking in your life in the next few months. You're going to be busy. So hopefully you're making progress, and feel free to reach out to any of us in case you get stuck somewhere and you would like to have some sort of an advice. All right. So today we'll be talking about resume building or CV, as Dr. Taras was saying. Pretty much the same thing. Few differences, probably, resume is slightly shorter, CV is more elaborate, but pretty much the same thing. Right? So we're going to make this session a little interactive, right? So first of all, let me ask, so there are like 3 of you here. So how many of you have a resume, or how many of you have at least a LinkedIn account where you've put in some of the stuff? So Abhishek, Fernando, Sophia, do you have a working resume or something where you have enlisted all your, let's say your educational background, any internships, any good projects that you are doing, any clubs that you have joined in your school, any leadership opportunities that you've had? So do you have any working document or a polished document, 3 of you?
Yeah, I have a LinkedIn, and I have a resume that's in Hungarian, but I also have like all of my competitions and everything written in one document, because I get like a local scholarship and I need it for that.
Okay, great. So that's great. You have a resume already, Sophia. What about Abhishek and Fernando?
Yes, I have a resume. I wrote about my academics and quite a bit of experience and some skills.
Okay, great.
I can say on behalf of Maxim, he does have one. He had to apply to his high school. It's not a traditional school, so we had one then, but it's been now several years since we updated it. So I guess it needs a little bit more, a refresher.
Sure. So that's very, very important. Have something, a working, and it's a live document. You keep doing stuff. The thing is that we tend to forget. We do something great and then we just forget to document it. So resume is important because it is documenting everything, and it is the latest achievements that you have had. See, it's all about selling yourself, right? The admission counselors, the admission officers at any university, they're going to get thousands of applications, right? Hundreds to thousands. And if it's the greater the reputation of the school, the more applications you will get, right? And at the beginning of this Prep4University, the earlier sessions we had, we talked about the acceptance rates. So some of the top Ivy Leagues, probably their acceptance rate is 4%, 3%. Some lower tier schools, they have an acceptance rate of 20% to 30% to 40%, but still there are rejections, right? And from your resume, you get a quick glance of what the candidate is all about, right? So you really have to market yourself, right? Don't be ashamed of putting in all the great achievements. That's how I, as an admission counselor, would get to know you, right? And why you are going to be a good fit for the university, right? And remember, you can always tailor make your resume for the different universities. You have one generic form, right? This is where I have all my achievements, and then you tailor make it. You tweak it. You don't have to have a totally different format for every university, but you tweak it as per the requirements of that particular university, right? You look at the mission and the vision and what type of majors are there in that university, and you tweak your resume or your CV and tailor it towards that particular university, right? So, what goes in a resume? What are the components of a different components of a resume? What all will go? Abhishek, Fernando, Sophia. I mean, you have your thing, so let's hear from you.
So in resume, at first we introduce ourselves and our work experience, like the research work and other activities we are involved in, and our educational background and our honors or awards and our professional skills. And a short summary could be better.
So Abhishek, do you have a working resume? Hi everyone. Good afternoon. Good morning. I was actually struggling with my computer. So do you have a working resume? Do you want to share a copy of your resume if you can?
I don't have like that, but I have a little bit of. Yeah, I can share.
Oh, yeah, that'll be good.
And don't hesitate to share, right? We are
Yes,
not
sir.
admission officers, so we are just here to help. So if we have a working document which you can really share, we can help refine, and that will benefit not just you but the other participants too.
I'm not sure if it's a good idea, but I do have a copy of Maxim's old resume. So if you think I can share
that'd be
it
great.
just
Let's
as an
do it.
example.
Yeah.
And maybe you can criticize it because again, it's as you said, it's a working document and it's never perfect. But so we basically had a little bit on his education here. Then we had a list of and obviously education that's elementary school, middle school, high school. So essentially nothing super special. Then we had a little kind of bullet list. We figured, just so that it's quickly notable academic grades and awards. So like basically some of the tests when he had very good scores and some of the things that were listed here. Then programs that he completed, all kinds of academic stuff. Like for example, he did Exculture in 2018. He did the summer camp at NASA. So we basically listed anything and everything, any course he's ever took. Then sports that he ever played. And again, some of them like golf, for example, it was only for a year, but we figured let's list it. Some it was longer, like he did swimming for many years and even the team was the city champions at some point. Music, again, he had like, a few years of training at school. He's not a very good player, but he played it for a while. And then some volunteering experience, some language, and I guess now this needs to be a little updated. And then computer skills. So that was sort of what he had. And I'm not sure if it's, looks good or not.
The one thing good about the resume is it's like 2 pages and that's just the perfect size, right? Because obviously when an admission counselor is looking at your resume, he or she will not have so much of time to go through 5 pages or 10 pages of your resume. So if you can share the screen back, Vas, I think that'd be great because we can actually use this as an example.
Yeah.
So instead of saying my email or my phone, just write phone and email. So you can save those lines here. Father's name, I mean, instead of saying father, like, it can be Dr. Vastaras and the mother's name can be there. So that way they know exactly who the parents are. I mean,
so
this
you
is not needed.
right here?
Sorry, I'm just saying this is not needed because in the application itself, there is a part where they'll ask you about your information, the Common App application, there you have to enter your names. So really these 2 lines of the parent's phone and all is not needed. What they need is simply the phone of the kid and the email for the kid. Because obviously, and most of the time it'll be the contact through email, not even through phone. So the email with the gmail.com is perfect. I know a lot of students even give their own, official school emails, which is also right. But I think Gmail is good. What they don't like to say is a Hotmail or a Yahoo account. So don't use any of those emails out there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
And make sure that your name is not like loveman2012 at yahoo.com. So
Exactly.
So make sure
These
that
things make an impression, if you have a simple email with your name in it, and maybe, if you're not able to find the username, then you just put some figures at the end of it, 3010, something like that's still fine. But then come up with some fancy, sexy name, that's a no-no. Right?
Yeah, or monster killer 25 at yahoo.com.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll not hire you. So please don't even do that. So yeah, I mean, the parents' phones and emails are not needed. So those are 2 extra lines that will be saved.
Yeah, and I think this one was specifically for an application where we thought that might be necessary, and it's from a few years ago. But by this time, obviously, he's old enough not to need that.
Exactly. And the Common App will have your information anyway. So they'll ask about the parents' occupation, email, phone numbers, all of that is already stored for them.
Yeah.
And
I mean, about the
in the phone
education.
number,
Yeah.
in the phone number, make sure you also put the country code, because lots of international applicants. So if you're in UK, then +44, US is +1. So make sure you have your country code too in the in your resume.
Yeah.
Right. And again, in the education part, I think most of the time they'd like to see your GPAs. So what is the GPA out of what? So if it is out of 4.0 or 5.0, I know in India it's like 10.0. So please ensure that you put out of what. And then again, if you're the top 10 or the top 5 or top 1% or top 0.1% of your class, that can be mentioned as well. So that really creates an impression that you're academically very good in your school life. So that I think can be something that could be taken care of. Is that right, Amit? In the education, anything else that you'd like to see?
Yeah, make sure to have the GPA, because that's an important parameter, right? Your as we have discussed, your SAT scores and your GPA as far as your academics are concerned, that's a very important parameter. So give that information upfront. Right, so your GPA should be there. How has it been? How you've been performing over the past like 4 years or something, right?
And I assume even if it's bad, you still need to include it, because there will be questions what it is.
Yes.
So you will not be able to hide it anyway. So
yeah, definitely. And then try to anticipate. So if you feel that there is a weak point in your resume, right, be ready to defend it. The story should be that that weakness should not come out as a weakness. So that is a strength. So let's say if my GPA is not that strong, maybe it's a 3.0 out of 4.0, right? Then how I should be prepared to defend that in my application. I should be able to defend that somewhere in my resume, right? There should be some other strong points that really cover up this weak point, if you consider it as a weak point, right?
And again, with the COVID in place still, right? A lot of universities are actually not looking at GPAs. But it's good to get the GPA right there in the resume. So, it's just being honest. It's good to tell the right GPA, and it just goes with the resume format. So they would like to see your GPA. 3.2 may be acceptable, I don't know. But if it's a 2.5, yes, then we have a problem. So then obviously you have to, and I'm talking about 2.5 out of 4.0, which is 4.0 is actually the norm in the US, right? So again, if it's that low, then yes, don't write it here. But if it's a 3.2 and above, it's still fine. Sophia, are you saying something? I think the computer is showing something. So any questions at this time, please ask, because this is like an exemplar resume for everyone to look at.
would it be possible to maybe see Aryaman's resume, just for the format?
What I did was, I don't have Aryaman's resume right now, but I have the resume of a few of my students who got into the industry, into internships, who got accepted in the graduate colleges. So maybe I can share my screen right away. But before that, Vas, there was one other thing which I saw in the resume of yours, which can really help Maxim. So if you can bring your resume back, things like, can you bring it back? So if you go down, so academically, great job, especially with the NCANT University. I think maybe a little more details as to how he got accepted could be actually there in the notes or something. So that would be really helpful.
Like here, for example.
Yeah. This looks like, he's doing something with the college. He's actually already prepared for the college. So sort of, this is like a great thing. So he really has to highlight this particular fact. So maybe a little more lines at the bottom, like a notes, or maybe, so this could be provide more details. Yes, for sure. Because any college would like to see how is this thing happening. So especially in DC area also, the schools have great ties with, let's say, George Washington University. So Aryaman, I know, talked about that particular tie in a big way. And then his internship with Georgetown, again, he talked about that in a big way. So these things really make your application stronger, because it actually shows that your tie of your high school with the college shows that you're actually already ready for college. So this is really a very highlight of his of his resume. If you scroll down a little bit, Ras, can you go down?
Yep.
Yeah, these great items here, 99 percentile, 98 percentile. Maybe if you can, again, no one knows what is EOG unless and
Yeah,
until it's
exactly.
enacted
I was
right now,
about to
right?
say that.
Yeah. So this needs to be cleared. And again, maybe a few lines, like a 1 line or a 2 line about EOG exams and how are they important.
Mhm.
This will really be helpful.
Yeah, especially I
Yeah.
assume if the application goes outside the United States and people don't use that same, abbreviation for, there is
Yeah.
no.
So they need to know more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
A few
Yeah,
lines.
these
So
are
this
great.
is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, these numbers are great. I mean, 99th percentile. So it really stands out. But then what is an EOG exam? As an admission counselor, I should know what this EOG is. Right. So
Right.
that'd be great.
And again, the same thing about X culture. He's done that great program of X culture. So obviously, it's good to put some, things about X culture, because X culture is not really, obviously now we have X culture kids, but actually it's more for the school, the college people, the students, maybe masters or undergrads. So if he has done something at the high school level, again, it shows how academically prepared he is. So more details on that. NASA, again, great job. So again, NASA, a little more details as to what the workshop had. So some details are needed, and some of the things that he has done and he's proud of. Again, if he's applying for computer science as his major, then of course computers, and I could say a lot of things about computers. So again, more details will really help. Because that's where the college would be able to assess that, okay, this kid is already ready for college. He knows a lot about computer science. So that's all great, things in his application. Sports, again, great job. Obviously, there'll be something, and I'm assuming he would have done something in 2020, 2021,
Yeah.
more recent. Yeah. So that will add value. Music, great stuff. That's extracurricular activities. Volunteer, again. They need to know what is handy capable network, right? So we don't know what that
Yeah.
thing is. Yeah, and what kind of activity. Maybe he's done something great. Maybe that could be the meat of his essay that he writes. Languages, again, great, and computer skills. Yeah, so everything is fine. Just a little bit more. More details about this will really help.
Yeah, yeah.
And I can
And
actually
obviously it
show.
needs to be updated because, as I said, it's from a few years ago, so.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I can share my screen quickly here and show you guys some of the applications. That
Yeah, quickly, I would like to add something about Maxim's resume. So one of the strong points, which I feel is a strong point, but it's not there, is that computer assembly part. Because I know with conversations with Dr. Taras that he's assembled computers and he's sold computers and he's made.
Yeah.
So that should be there somewhere, that, it's not just a hobby that, I just open up computers and just assemble them back again, but actually I've created a small business out of it and I've actually made some money out of it. So numbers, how many you have assembled and how many you've sold, and maybe, how much money you've made, some numbers out that would probably just stick out of the resume, and that will catch someone's attention for sure.
Right. And I agree to that. Yeah. Because that's something that not many kids do at the high school. So that's something which was his own business venture. So I guess he needs to talk about it. That will really help him for the college applications. So this is an example of one of my students who recently got into NASA. So he's right now working with NASA I think in Houston with their jet propulsion, whatever, JPL. He actually, there's a summary about him as to what he did, his education here, his skills, abilities, multicultural diversity skills, communication, leadership, his all experience that he has done so far. So he just made one-page resume. And that really helped him because he actually gave example of his own website. So he created his website that contained more information about him. And then I think he has example of his LinkedIn page. And if you open up this LinkedIn page, this is where he is right now. So this is his LinkedIn page that comes from his resume. So it's good to have a LinkedIn page, not a Facebook page, not an Instagram, not a Snapchat, but have a LinkedIn page, because that's where you're connecting directly to your maybe future employers, maybe people in the admissions office and so on. So if you have something like this, right? So this is what, as I said, he's right now in NASA working there. This is a little bit information about him. It's good to have this even in your resume. So sort of he has replicated his resume on his LinkedIn page. So, of course, this is what he has done so far. He actually worked at NASA as an intern for a long time, and now he's working with them. Of course, his all education is right here, and his interest. So, what I'm trying to say is that if you have a LinkedIn page, it's good to have that reference right on your resume. So that really helps, and that's the reason his one pager was good enough for NASA to think about him.
And it sounds to me like it should be not a matter of if you have, but you should have that
A LinkedIn.
LinkedIn resume, right?
Absolutely, yes. There's no
And then
ifs or
so
buts
I
about
see
it.
this guy actually has a personal page as well linked at the bottom.
Yes,
So maybe
yes, yes. Let me see
again,
if
buy a
it works
simple
here.
template and create your own web
Let
page
me-
as well.
Absolutely, and you can do it with Wixsite or with what is the other one, Amit? There's one more. So, yeah. So this is where he has his complete. He talks about himself. He's from New Mexico, so he's talking more about. So he sort of has everything on this page. There's education. He is from military, and that really helped him. So his military service, that whatever he had done, his resume is right here again. So yeah, I mean, this particular website of his definitely helped him, because I think he even had a card, a visiting card of his that contained the QR code, and that took him to the website, or that took anyone to the website. You scan the code and takes you to the website. So yeah, students do all kind of interesting stuff, and that really helps them in the job fairs and everything. So I wanted to show. Let me show you more examples. This is one other student of mine. She's again working in the industry right now. This is just basically where she talked about her education experience, relevant courses. Again, one page strict resume, but she has a Weebly page. So if you open up this page again, this is her website and contains all information. By the way, all these, whether website, whether Weebly or Wixsite, these are all free. So you can actually go ahead and make your own pages and talk about yourself. Employers love it, and even the college counselors also love it, because sort of it shows your computer skills, that you've taken the time to create a website for yourself. I know she talked about international experience, that I think this is where she's talking about whatever she has done. A lot of pictures about her. So this completely shows that she's international and global. Um, this resume was very interesting. So I just wanted to show you this one as well. This guy, he was a computer scientist in school as well as in college. And I think from there, he went on to do some good things as well. But this is his complete, his resume. Again, one page strictly, but he made it all colorful. We were a little worried whether he'll be accepted with the colorful resume, and he did. So I think he's right now doing his graduate school as we speak. Again, it has all the information. His Weebly page is here. His LinkedIn is here. He's covered whatever he can in that one pager. So a lot of our students do this one pager because they know that remember, the program officers or the admission counselors don't have so much of time. So maybe they won't even have time to look at your second page. So I always recommend put your meaty information always on the first page of the resume, so that even if they don't have time to go on the second page, you have covered everything and you've covered your bases, your ground in the first page itself. So this, I mean, the counselor there liked his resume a lot, and he got accepted, which is great. There's one more student here. Again, she made sure that she only has a resume, her phone number on the top. There's an email, which is a college official email, the LinkedIn page, and her Weebly website or her website that she created. The summary, the education here, relevant courses, honors, awards, certificates, and all. And again, she has a professional portfolio. So a lot of these students, they made their website. So it may not be a bad idea to create a website for your own. Let me open up this one for you guys again. But the students do a wonderful job when they make their own websites. They put a lot about themselves. Again, they have their email and they have the LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is something that has always been helpful. This is her resume. So she made her resume here. And again, as interactive as possible. This is her educational experience. So she put all her educational experience here. And you can put your pictures, but all professional. Don't even have a picture where you're holding a glass of wine, or, it should be all in a professional setting. These are her projects that she had done in the classes. And she even put some project reports over here. And then, of course, her contact address and email and everything is here. And you can even chat with them. This is what they love the most, that there's anyone who stops by their website can send some note, and then they receive that note in the email. So this is really helpful. One of the exemplar resumes that I normally use when I tell my students in their classes is, your name of the student. So in my case, I'm using it for the undergrad classes. So obviously I have this, but in your case, the school address, what school do you go to is more important than your home address. So the admission counselors are not interested in where you stay, but which school do you attend? That's what should be here. And of course, your cell phone, your email. summary, of course, what are you doing? So outstanding business marketing student. Obviously, in your case, you can say that you're an outstanding, or maybe you're striving to be an outstanding student in the field of computer science or biology or biomechanical engineering or whatever you want to do. Then educational qualifications, that relevant coursework should be here. A lot of my students, as I was telling Vas, are ex-culture, global certified or whatever. So they write a bit of the information here at the bottom of the page. I don't know if you can see this, but this is where they talk about what is ex-culture really means. And believe it or not, people do ask about. So I remember when Arman, our son, when he applied for Princeton, and he definitely has something like ex-culture. Maybe in the next meeting, I'll share that resume with you guys. But he has this ex-culture thing in his resume, and he definitely, the same way as you can see on my page, he explained what ex-culture is all about. And when he got an interview with Princeton, the lady asked him, what is ex-culture? And so they had like a 15 minutes conversation just about what ex-culture is, what it does, the magnitude of the program, and so on. So really, if you want to have those conversation starters, remember, if you are in the US, you may be called for an interview. That's one of the stages that the program managers or the admission counselors do in the schools. And I think it's more targeted to the US students rather than from the international students. But right now, I also have heard that international students get a Zoom call. So since everything is online, you may have an alumni of the university reaching out to you and going through the Zoom and talking to you through Zoom call. That is right now happening even with international students. So if you have key words like ex-culture, or if you have won an award or something, they will definitely ask you what this thing is all about. Your work experience, your leadership. If you have done some kind of research, like Arvind had like 2 papers that he had done as an internship with Georgetown, that really helped him because, sort of people know that he's already researching. And your professional portfolio, if you have a website, that's really, really helpful. I'd like to show you this website of one of my students here. And she got into all the places. I know she was my student at Savannah State. Then she went to Georgetown University. Currently, she's working with Penny and May in Washington, D.C. And she had this video. So the video of hers made her really go places, because in a video, she's actually talking about how global she is. She's from Vietnam. And she talked about her Vietnamese roots in the video. So this is definitely something that the company, so she got hired by a good company, a good university. And at the same time, she's currently doing her master's at Georgetown University. So, things like this really make your entire resume very interesting. There's something that not everyone will have, having a website or having a LinkedIn page. But if you do have all of this, you need to talk about it in your resume. So let me stop sharing my screen so that I think if you guys want to share anything from your end.
Can I ask a question and share a screen one more time? Mm-hmm. So in Ex-Culture, for a few years in a row, we had a company as a client called Zen CD. And so they create basically CDs, but in a very creative way. Like here are some of the examples that they included in the actual instructions. So let me see if I can scroll down. Like, for example, yes, this one here. So that's similar to that colorful one that you showed. And so as you can see, it has like all these interesting, designs. And here is another one. So this is the resume of the actual owner of the company. Again, so it looks more like an eye candy, as they call it. So still same information, but it looks this way. And then let me show one that they experimented with. Like they said, sometimes maybe if you apply into like an IT company or some sort of game design company, maybe you even want to design your resume like this. And so here is an example. And so to be honest, we even used that company. So we hired them to create the resume for my wife. And this is what they came up with. I'll show you. So, but my question is, do you think it's too much? So let me see, where is my wife's resume? So that's what they did for my wife. So we tried to keep it a little bit more neutral, not too bright, but there was, here, like highlights and then some color. And then here skills like, like percentages, I guess, or how many out of 10. And so it looks a little bit different. So do you think that's, like my resume and probably your resume looks more like a resume? So ours are, like the one that I showed from Maxim, just black font, Times New Roman 12, bullet list may be capitalized in some cases. So what's your opinion? Would something like this be too much? Or is it a way to stand out? Or will it look more like a clown, especially if you sort of venture into something with a lot of graphics and, signature? I know in Europe, for example, people put photos. In the United States, they don't for all kinds of reasons. So do you think like a resume like this would be too unorthodox to the point where it could be harmful, or it's a good way to stand out from a stack of black and white resumes that everybody submits?
So, Amit, do you want to take that first, and I'll talk about it later?
I think something that stands out of 100 different resumes, I think that's a good one. Overdoing it probably would be an overkill, but then something that really stands out with a little bit of graphics and everything, which is easy to comprehend, easy to understand, using some visuals. I think this is a good idea. You're coming up with all the creativity and coming out with something to catch the attention of the recruiter or the college counselor. So I think that's definitely a good idea for sure. Other things.
That's what an academic resume usually looks like, right? Just
Yes.
black and white.
This is-
Maybe you use sometimes like special font and some indents, but you don't really do anything
This is a
else.
very old,
There's
boring
33
way.
pages. Don't
Yeah.
go for 33 pages, please.
Oh, well, no, yeah, and you have to remember that this one is the professor's resume, so our
Yeah,
resume tend to be
exactly.
very long, like mine is 33 pages, but we'll list anything and everything here. So every paper we published, every conference we went to, every workshop we ran, so mine is actually not the longest to begin with. But yes, for you guys, I assume it would be one, maybe 2 pages at most.
Yeah,
So-
maximum 2 pages, no more than 2 pages, 1 to 2 pages. I mean, that's it, right? And some other things that I would like to highlight, which should be there in your resume. When you're talking about your education, I mean, that's very, very important. So if you've taken any higher level courses, any advanced level courses, and especially if, let's say you want to be a computer science major, right? And if you've taken some upper level computer science courses in your school, that should come up right there. If you've taken some AP level courses, I know in United States, taking AP level courses, that's a big deal, right? So make sure you put in your resume that, you've taken AP Computer Science 1, and this is the major that I'm applying to. So which means that you've already gone through that rigorous work and you are going to be more ready in college for that major compared to some of the other students, right? So maybe there are like 10 different applications for computer science major, and only 2 of them have taken AP Computer Science in their high school. That's going to stand out, right? So make sure if you've done some good coursework, that should reflect right there in your educational background in the first page of your resume. So that's very, very important.
So let me answer the question about the colorful resume. So again, if you're applying for a design course in the college, if you're applying for architecture in the college, yes, they love to see that. So it all depends on what you're applying for. Obviously, if you're applying for biomedical engineering, if you're applying for computer science, they may not like it. I mean, so really, but one more thing to remember is the age of the admission counselors. They're more or less than 30 years of age, right? So they're more like, if we can call them millennials, but they're like very near to the millennials, right? So when you put those colors and when you put those pictures, they are okay with it. I mean, they're not offended by looking at your pictures. So to answer the question about colorful resume, I was a little scared when my student came to me and showed me that he was applying for American University for the master's program with that colorful resume, but then he's applying for design and he's applying for media. So it makes sense. I mean, obviously then all the colorful things make sense. But most of the time, the way to get around, if you really want to make sure that you have a colorful things, I would recommend having a normal resume, but maybe creating a website with all the colors and pictures and all the professional things in the website itself. So you can put the colors over there. You can put the X Culture logo over there. You can put, if you've done something with the X Culture project and you want to talk about it, you can have international experience as the topic of your website. And then, you focus more on that. So those are the things that you can do. So you can be very creative in your website and even on your LinkedIn page, make sure that you have a presence on the LinkedIn page. I would highly, highly recommend that in your resume, have your reference to your website if possible. If you don't want to make a website, then at least have your reference to the LinkedIn page. Because a lot of your recruiters, a lot of your admission counselors, they are on the LinkedIn page. And believe it or not, a lot of them will actually take time to look at your LinkedIn page and see what have you done. Maybe they might even connect with you if they consider you as a prospective candidate. So again, make sure that you have that presence and you have listed it on your resume. So that's something that's needed. What was other? I think I saw something on the chat.
Yeah, there is a question from Sophia. In Europe, we have
So-
Europass CD. Should we include that? What is it? I have no idea. So I assume if you include it, you have to explain what that is because Americans wouldn't know. But I don't know. Do you know more, Anshu, about it?
So she said we have the Europass CV. Should we use that when we apply to universities in Europe and create a different one? It's always good to create different CVs for different things that you apply for. It always makes sense. As I said, maybe you want to apply for a computer science in one and maybe the media in the other. So if you're applying for a media program, having a colorful CV, sorry, will definitely help. But if you're applying for a regular, sort of engineering program in one of the other universities, having a different simple CV will be more helpful. I don't know, what is Europass? Sophia, can you explain us what Europass is?
Yeah, so it is more of the colorful resumes, but it's what the European Union standard is, I would say, and you have to create a profile. But I can show you.
Yeah, that'd be good. Show us.
Yeah, I'm curious. And now the question is, if those from the United States applying to Europe, do they need to create one of those Europass, standards?
Yeah,
CVs,
so
or-
it's like the European Union website.
It's like an
Very nice.
existing,
Can you make it bigger?
it's like an existing template or something.
Yes, you can. You have templates, and then mine looks like this, but this is a few years old. So you have to put a photo, and then you have and this is in Hungarian, but you have your birth date here, and then your nationality, and that I am female, and then my address, my email and phone number, and then you have a little introduction, and you can put all your education here, yeah, and then your language knowledge, and then this is for social and political activities, conferences and seminars, and then projects, and yeah, then you have awards basically, and these are my competitions, and then you can also put your hobbies and stuff like that.
So again, Sophia, it's too big, right? 9 pages. They're not going to look at your 9 pages of resume. So if you can bring all of that. So I like the way you have it right now with your color and your picture and everything. It may be fine. As I said, these program managers or these the admission counselors, they really have, they're young, right? So if you have something like this, it's not too much colorful, but still telling what you have done. So it makes sense. My only concern will be the number of pages that you have. You have 9 pages, that's too much. They won't go beyond the second page. Because remember, they're looking at thousands and thousands of applications, especially if you're applying to this tier 1, tier 2 schools. I would recommend not going beyond, beyond the 2 pages.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. But within those 2 pages, you should have education. You should have your, your awards. You should have any extracurricular activities that you have done. Of course, your education is very, very important in terms of your GPA. And again, I always recommend students telling them what courses have you done. So if you've done AP Computer Science, and I'm talking from the United States perspective, so any college level courses that you have done, talk about those courses in the education field itself, because those are something that shows that you're ready for college, right? If you've taken any extra college level courses, that will help. If you've done any extra research with the colleges, with the professor, that will help again. If you have participated in a conference, all of those good things are actually your academic, thing, and that's going to be helpful. I know, Vas, you said you have to leave.
Yes, I must leave, but I do have one question. So while we still have a few months before the application deadline, what can we do to strengthen our kids' resumes? I mean, what would be the kinds of activities that could still be added to the resume in this remaining time that might impress the college admissions?
So I know you talk about sailing and all, right? So that's a great thing. And I think things like those, the extracurricular activities definitely make the wholesome experience. Like they say, holistic experience is what they're looking at. So academically, they want you to be perfect. They want those great SAT scores and GMAT scores, and that could be a part of your resume itself. I mean, obviously, they'd like to see the extracurricular activities because a lot of times, especially this happens with the Asian kids, and I'm talking about my own kid here, that we focus too much on academics and sort of miss on the other extracurricular activities. And when extracurricular activities, what I've mentioned or what I'm talking about is not just the sports, but any community engagement that you have done. I mean, anything that you did for your own college, you helped something, you helped the library. Talk about that because they really want to see you not just as an academic student, but as a wholesome package, right? Amit, if you can add a few things, and in the meantime, I can see if I can quickly show them Arman's resume. Maybe I have a copy of it. So if you can add a few more things.
Yeah. So let's say, as Dr. Taras was saying, let's say your resume is not good enough and you've got like another maybe 2 months to start filling your applications and applying. So what else could you add in this short period of time to make it look good? Some easy things: get involved in the local community, do some volunteer work. Right? Ask neighbors for some help. I mean, there might be some community initiative that is there in your community. Get involved in that, right? And try to take up quickly move up to some leadership position that you can really exemplify in your resume, right? Try to get into some sports teams. Right. I know it's not easy at this late point to get into a sports team or something, but
it's the beginning of the school year, so now is the time, right?
Yeah. So
maybe start a business and fail it by the end of the year, but it will be good experience. No, I mean, if some of you guys are planning to apply to business schools, so yeah, try something, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's never too late to put something in your resume, to build your resume, right? Remember,
start a club, maybe, with a few friends, nothing big, but
yeah, maybe, yes, that's a great idea. You form a new club, and many of the schools, they support, this.
Sometimes even give you some budget so that you can have, and in fact, some of the simple ideas that your schools may not have, but probably will support, like start a chess club, for example, or start maybe a debate club. Again, easy to do, lots of instructions online, very simple investment. I mean, you don't really need to buy anything substantial. Looks good on your resume. And at the same time, if your school doesn't have it, which it probably doesn't, then, they would be happy if somebody did it. Why not? So, and then elect yourself the president of the club, even though there are only 3 members.
Yes.
So,
yes,
and
definitely.
that makes sense.
So,
the founding president will add value. Yeah.
So I remember our son, so he was in his school and there was no math club. There used to be a math club, but then it died down because there were no members. So he got together with at least 3 or 4 of his friends who were interested in, attending all these math competitions. So they approached a teacher, their math teacher, and they said that we would like to start a math club. And the teacher was very supportive. And they just filled up a form, and within a few days they had this math club. And Arman, he listed in his resume that he's the founder and the president of the math club at his school, right? So that really stands out. And then he made sure that it's not just for the sake of the resume. So he reached out to other different schools and universities, and he tried to find out where can his school participate in competitions, in math competitions. And he started taking the team to those competitions. And the teacher saw the initiative, and the teacher, came up with some sort of a budget, the travel budget for all the students. So he put that in his resume, right? So within like a month's time, everything was set up, and that looked good on his resume too. So you will have to take those initiatives, take those leadership initiatives, and make sure that you're doing good for yourself, and you're doing good for your school, and you're doing good for your peers, right? So such things really help. So leadership skills, getting the job done, getting a new club formed at your school. These are some of the things that you can do early on as your school year is starting. Right.
So let me show you here Ariman's resume. This is not the resume that he applied for the school, for the colleges, but this is a resume that he used for getting his internship at Georgetown University when he was a high schooler. So So this is, of course, he's talking about the school that he goes to, his phone number here, his email is right there, all his education, wherever he has done his education. So see, he actually has written Georgetown University because he actually was enrolled in the computer science, classes at Georgetown. So that really helped him. Again, he did something at Duke University, the neuroscience camp. So he mentioned that here. He did a research with one of the professors in 2017. That was when he was in the 10th grade or something, or maybe the 9th grade, I guess. And that's where, he's talking about whatever he has done. And they actually published a paper as well. So that was good. All his achievements, his SAT scores, his AP exams. I know there's a question by Abhishek where you're asking about the high level or the honor courses. Yes, mention any kind of honor level courses because those are your high level courses. All his things that he has done, his spelling bees, his tests that he has done, his math team, so he's talking about his math team here, his skills. So this is strictly a 2-page resume that he created, but he sort of put in all the information that he has done so far. So that is something that, if we stop sharing here. So this was the resume. I'll try to show you the resume that he has for his college applications, maybe in the next meeting of ours. But maybe in the meantime, you guys can start working on your resume because that really helps. I mean, you can upload your resume in your college application and having a 1 or a 2-page, not beyond 2 pages. Beyond 2 pages, that'll be too much. They will not look at it. So Sophia, don't have a 9-page resume, please. Make it 1 to 2 pages, right? And colorful resumes are okay. I mean, I don't see any problem with a colorful resume, especially because they become more interactive. So sort of, I think the counselors and the admission people, they love it because, it's like they can, it's like a break to their eyes. Remember, everything else is like black and white and suddenly there's a colorful resume that they get to see. So obviously they will spend time on your resume then. So anything that can catch their attention, and that is the focus when you apply for the college. So I would recommend having a colorful resume, not too many colors. So don't make it all rainbow colors. No, only I think I like what Dr. Taras was showing for his wife. That was really blue color theme. That looked very good, very neat, very professional. So maybe something like that is advisable. Any questions by anyone? Abhishek, Sophia? Do you guys, we still have like a few more minutes, like 6 minutes here. So if you guys want to share any of your applications or your resume or anything that you are doing that you want to do better, now is the time.
Well, we would like to be respectful of your time. It's a weekend and we are going a little over time. So I think we can stop here and thank very much our professors here for sharing the experience and the examples, unless there are any burning questions. And you can always send an email with additional questions if needed.
Absolutely. That's perfect. That's great. And feel free to share your resume even the next time. So when we meet you after 2 weeks, you can show your resume and we'll be happy to comment on that. Okay.
Yes, that will be your homework. Working version, it will be updated until the last day you apply, obviously. But you want to have some sort of a template ready in 2 weeks that you can work with.
Yes, absolutely. That's perfect.
So next time when we meet, we'll probably have a few minutes. We'll devote to your resume. So if anyone is willing to share something on the screen, feel free to do that so that we can critique it and give you some good feedback.
So I think there's a question by Isa. It says, if I'm applying to UK schools, they use UCAS instead of Common App. So do I still need to use Common App? So Common App is used for applying for US schools. Remember in one of the sessions that Dr. Amit Arora was talking about, he showed you where exactly, like on the Common App, like the colleges who all use Common App. So in US, again, not everyone uses Common App. They're like Ivy League, especially, they have their own set of applications. But Common App is used like 80% of universities in the US. So the question is, if you're applying to the US university, yes, you will have to upload or put everything in your Common App application. But if you're not applying here, then that's not needed.
Now, there are some schools in UK which use Common App. So make sure you look at what school you're applying and look at their admission requirements. Go to their website, look at their admission requirement. If they need a Common App, they'll list it over there for sure, right? And if they have not listed it, then just go with what the instructions are in their website. So it's always a good idea, whatever school or university you're applying to, go to the website, look at their admission requirements and how to apply. There'll be a section called how to apply. Just go through that. And if it lists that Common App, then you got to do it. If it doesn't, then you don't do it. You go by their requirements. Okay.
All right, I think that's it, guys. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We'll see you again in the 2 weeks' time. So yes, as Dr. Taras was saying, that's your homework right now. Again, look at your Excel sheet. Keep adding more information to your Excel sheet about the colleges that you've entered in the Excel sheet. And also keep adding more stuff to your resume. So start building your resume from right now. So I know Dr. Taras is doing that. His son is doing the sailing team. That's a great thing. People love sailors here in the United States. So anything that you're doing, if you're part of a tennis, if you're playing tennis, talk about that in your resume or in your application, because that really adds value, right? So think from a complete package, right? If you are an admission officer yourself, what is it that you'd like to see in a candidate that makes him or her stand out of the competition? Obviously, you'd like to see the academic thing, you'd like to see the sports thing, you'd like to see the community thing. So don't forget about that. If you did something for the community, it will add value. Like, for example, you worked with an orphanage, or you might be doing something, with the computers, helping the school, get some software installed in the computers. All of that is helpful. So mention that in your resume, because that might turn your application or the scales in your favor, right?
Yes.
All right, I think, guys, thank you. And you have our information, so you can reach out to us anytime. And you already are in touch with Dr. Taras, so feel free to ask him questions and we'll be involved with that. So see you in 2 weeks now. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Yeah, bye.